Imagine you're pinned down. Enemy tanks rolling toward your position. Artillery raining down. You're out of options. Then you hear it. That sound. That beautiful, ugly sound of salvation. This is the story of the most feared ground attack aircraft ever built. A plane so tough, it's been shot to pieces and still brought her pilots back from the missions. So deadly, it destroyed nearly 1,000 tanks in a single war. So beloved by troops on the ground, they call it the Angel of Death for the enemy. This is the A-10 Warthog, and it was built around a gun so powerful, the Air Force had to design an entire aircraft just to carry it, yet tough enough to survive anti-aircraft attacks and bring the pilots back home. Let me read you something from an infantry soldier who saw the Warthog in action.
I can tell you from a soldier's point of view how we felt about seeing the A-10. If you ever in a pinch and need air support, you'll sure be jazzed when they show up. They make short work of anything that can give you any trouble on the ground. While on various deployments during Operation Desert Storm, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and the global war on terrorism, the A-10 and the Apache attack helicopters were heavily used, and they both work great for air support Cobra attack helicopters with their machine guns and Hellfire missiles, or the Warthog. When the A-10 comes in hot and in a hurry lighten things up, some bad guys are about to take a dirt nap. It's no secret, believe me, everybody knows. The Warthog is something you have to see to appreciate it. All I can say is it's nasty and chews up enemy armor like it was soft. Once you've heard an A-10 light something up, you'll never forget it.
Here's the thing. When ground troops, the guys whose lives depend on close air support, when they say an aircraft is special, you better pay attention. The A-10 wasn't designed to break speed records. It wasn't built to dogfight enemy fighters. It was designed to do one thing and do it better than anything else in history. Save the lives of soldiers on the ground by absolutely obliterating everything trying to kill them. And for nearly 50 years, that's exactly what it's done. The gun that built a plane. Now, most aircraft are designed first, then weapons are chosen to fit them. The A-10 Warthog, it was designed backwards. Picture this. It's 1970. The Cold War is raging. Intelligence reports show the Soviet Union has thousands upon thousands of tanks ready to pour across Europe. NATO needs something to stop them. Not just slow them down, stop them. Completely. Decisively. So the Air Force does something unprecedented. They say, first, build us the most devastating tank-killing gun ever created. Then we'll build a plane to carry it. Enter the GAU-8A Avenger cannon. Listen to these numbers. 7 rotating barrels, 30 millimeters wide, fires 3,900 rounds per minute. That's 65 rounds every single second. Each round is 11.4 inches long, weighs over 1.5 pounds, and contains a depleted uranium core that can punch through 69 millimeters of tank armor at 500 meters. The complete gun system weighs over 4,000 pounds. That's 2 tons, and measures nearly 20 feet long. When you remove it from the A-10 for maintenance, you have to put a jack under the tail of the aircraft to keep it from tipping backward. The gun literally makes up 16% of the entire aircraft's weight. The recoil force? 10,000 pounds. That's more than the thrust of either of the plane's 2 engines. When an A-10 fires this cannon, it slows down in midair from the recoil. The gun is so powerful they had to mount it off-center in the aircraft just to keep it from tearing the plane apart. This isn't a plane with a gun. This is a gun with a plane attached. So now they have this monster of a weapon. How do you build an aircraft around it? Fairchild Republic won the contract in January 1973, and what they created was unlike anything else in the sky. The A-10 Thunderbolt ZSQ, officially named after the famous P-47 fighter bomber of World War II, but everyone who saw it knew its real name. The Warthog. Squat, blunt, ugly as sin, and absolutely perfect for its mission. The design philosophy was simple: survivability and lethality, in that order. They wrapped the pilot in a titanium bathtub, 1,200 pounds of armor that could withstand direct hits from 57mm anti-aircraft fire. The flight control systems? Duplicated and redundant. Hydraulics shot out? The plane can fly manually. One engine destroyed? No problem, it can fly on one. Wings damaged? It can land with huge sections missing. Fuel tanks? Filled with fire-retardant foam and self-sealing. The engines are mounted high on the fuselage, above and behind the wings, making them harder to hit from the ground and reducing their heat signature. The aircraft can operate from primitive dirt runways near the front lines. It's designed to be maintained with basic tools by a crew in the field. A-10 pilots have landed safely after taking direct hits from surface-to-air missiles. One famous incident in 2003 saw Captain Kim Campbell fly her damaged A-10 over 300 miles back to base with no hydraulics, manually controlling the aircraft the entire way. She landed safely and earned the Distinguished Flying Cross. The plane entered service in March 1976. By October 1977, it was fully operational with the 354th Tactical Fighter Wing. But it wouldn't see combat for another 14 years, and when it finally did, the world would never forget what the Warthog could do. Desert Storm. The Highway of Death. August 1990. Iraq invades Kuwait. The world responds with Operation Desert Shield, building up the largest coalition force since World War II. 144 A-10 Warthogs deploy to Saudi Arabia, and they're about to write the most devastating chapter in close air support history. When Operation Desert Storm begins on January 17, 1991, the Warthogs are held in reserve, ready to counter any Iraqi ground invasion. But as coalition forces prepare for the ground war, the A-10s get their orders: destroy the Iraqi army's ability to fight. Over the next 40 days, A-10 pilots fly mission after mission, low, slow, through smoke so thick from burning oil wells that visibility drops to 3 miles. A layer of thick black smoke at 5,000 feet that turned midday into dusk. The numbers from Desert Storm are almost unbelievable. 987 tanks destroyed, 926 artillery pieces eliminated, 1,355 combat vehicles obliterated, over 1,300 trucks destroyed, over 280 military structures demolished, 53 Scud missiles taken out, 10 aircraft destroyed on the ground, 2 helicopters shot down in the air with the GAU-8 cannon. 8,624 total sorties flown, only 6 A-10s lost, a loss rate of just 0.062%. But the most famous mission? February 26-27, 1991, the Highway of Death. Iraqi forces are retreating from Kuwait, a massive convoy, approximately 1,400 vehicles, racing north on Highway 80 toward the Iraqi border. Tanks, armored personnel carriers, stolen civilian cars, trucks and buses packed with fleeing soldiers and equipment. An E-8 Joint Stars surveillance aircraft picks up the movement and relays coordinates to Coalition Command. 2 A-10s are scrambled. What happens next is described by one of the pilots as like a fireworks show with explosions all over the place. The A-10s strike first, followed by F-15s, F-16s, Apache helicopters, anything with ordnance. The attack lasts 10 hours. Coalition aircraft bomb the front and rear of the column first, trapping everything in between. Then they systematically destroy everything else. The devastation is absolute. Between 1,800 and 2,700 vehicles destroyed. A 60-kilometer stretch of highway turned into what would become one of the most iconic images of modern warfare, an unbroken line of burned, twisted metal. But individual missions tell an even more incredible story. February 25, 1991. 2 A-10 pilots, Captain Eric Solomonson and Lieutenant John Marks, are scrambled at dawn to deal with Iraqi tanks threatening coalition forces. First sortie, they destroy 8 tanks.
They land at a forward operating location to refuel and rearm. Before they can even shut down, an operations officer runs up shouting, "Get saddled up again, go! Marines need help southwest of Kuwait City."
Second sortie, 8 more tanks destroyed. They return to base, refuel, rearm, launch again. Third sortie, 7 more tanks eliminated. 23 tanks destroyed by 2 pilots in one day.
Solomonson later said, "There are a lot of jets that fly a lot faster, a lot higher, but don't drop nearly as much stuff, nor can they hang out in the target area as long as we can."
Afghanistan and Iraq, the Long War. The Cold War ended. The Soviet tanks the A-10 was designed to kill never materialized. Some thought the Warthog's time was over. They were wrong. September 11, 2001. The War on Terror begins, and the A-10 finds a new mission: counterinsurgency. Between 2009 and 2012, A-10s flew between 27,800 and 34,000 combat sorties every year in Afghanistan and Iraq. In just the first half of 2013, they flew 11,189 sorties in Afghanistan alone. They flew 32% of all combat sorties during Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. In the mountains of Afghanistan, where Apache helicopters and AC-130 gunships proved vulnerable to enemy fire, the A-10's durability and precision became invaluable. During Operation Anaconda in 2002, Warthogs filled critical gaps, delivering accurate strikes without tactical air controllers. The aircraft proved its worth in Libya, Syria, and against ISIS forces in Iraq. Between 2014 and 2021, A-10s flew over 10% of all combat missions against Islamic State targets. Total combat losses in Afghanistan and Iraq? 1. A single A-10 shot down near Baghdad on April 8, 2003. The pilot survived. So what makes the A-10 special? Ask any soldier who's called for close air support. The F-16 is faster. The F-35 is stealthier. The F-15E carries more bombs. But none of them can do what the A-10 does. The Warthog flies low and slow, 300 knots at low altitude. Why? Because pilots can actually see what they're shooting at. They can distinguish friendly forces from enemy forces. They can identify targets in complex terrain. The aircraft can loiter over the battlefield for extended periods, ready to strike at a moment's notice. Its armor allows it to get close, really close, to provide danger-close support that would destroy other aircraft. And that sound, that distinctive brrrr of the GAU-8. Ground troops hearing that sound know two things immediately. Help has arrived, and the enemy is about to have a very bad day.
The phrase, "go ugly early," became synonymous with the A-10, calling in the Warthog early to support troops in ground combat. Because when you absolutely, positively need something destroyed, you call the hog. One soldier put it perfectly: when the A-10 shows up, everybody knows. Their equipment, gear, weapons, vehicles, and anything else within 100 feet will just get smoked.
Here's where the story gets controversial. The Air Force wants to retire the A-10. They've wanted to for years. The plan? Replace it with the F-35 Lightning II and MQ-9 Reaper drones. Congress keeps saying no. In 2023, they finally approved retiring some A-10s for the first time in the 21st century. 21 aircraft retired that year. 49 in 2024, 56 in 2025. The Pentagon's 2026 budget proposes retiring all remaining 162 Warthogs, 2 years earlier than originally planned. But here's the problem. The F-35 can't do what the A-10 does. The F-35 is an incredible multi-role stealth fighter. But it's not optimized for close air support. It lacks the A-10's loiter time, ruggedness, and that psychological impact on both friendly and enemy forces. Military analysts agree, against a peer adversary like China with advanced air defenses, the A-10 would struggle. But in the conflicts we've actually fought for the last 30 years, the Warthog remains unmatched. As of today, the debate continues. Some A-10s may get a reprieve under congressional proposals. With new wings, the fleet could potentially fly until 2040. But one thing is certain. For nearly 50 years, when American troops needed close air support, they wanted the Warthog. For what it's worth as a combat vet, I believe we should keep the A-10 Warthog a while longer. 716 A-10s were built, thousands of tanks destroyed, countless lives saved. Not bad for a plane they said was too ugly, too slow, and built around a gun that was too big. The A-10 Warthog, the flying tank killer, the soldier's guardian angel, the ultimate close air support aircraft. And when that distinctive "barr" echoes across the battlefield, everybody knows.